They were furious, as you can imagine. And when I use the term local stakeholders, I mean groups and individuals living in the watershed, including public officials elected to represent those individuals. Why were they furious? Typically, federal designations bring along with them rules and regulations that affect the landowners. These rules and regulations might restrict access to the rivers in my district that are used for recreational purposes and fuel our tourist economy. These rules and regulations might also restrict farmers and ranchers from being able to access the water they need for their crops and livestock. I'm pleased to note that the White River National Blueway nomination was recently withdrawn, due in large part to significant outcry from Missourians left out of the process. We were also informed today that the entire National Blueway system has been paused and put under review. But I want to make something very clear here today. Simply pausing the program until the folks back home forget about it and then trying to restart these designations is deplorable. I urge the Interior Department to quickly complete its review and to find that the entire Blueway system needs to be scraped. Madam Speaker, we also discussed the National Blueway system further today in 2 hearings. In the first, Secretary Jewell, Secretary Salazar's newly appointed successor, noted that she did not know very much about the Blueway system. When I asked her today who the relevant authority on the Blueway system was, she said that it was Rebecca Water. Unfortunately, for those of us who would have liked to ask the Interior Department questions about the Blueways, today, Rebecca Water refused to come to our subcommittee hearing. As we noted in our hearings today, the process for designating these national blueways has not always been voluntary, open, or public. It is disturbing that this Ms. Water continues to refuse to testify about this program before our committee. Though the program is often trumpeted as voluntary, open, and public, Ms. Water has never been interested in making her comments voluntary, open, or public about the designations. Madam Speaker, let me provide you with a little more background about the district that I proudly represent, Missouri's 8th Congressional District. It contains 30 counties in southeastern and southern Missouri. We range from 40 miles south of the city of St. Louis, down the mighty Mississippi, the entire Boot Hill region, all the way west to about 40 miles east of Springfield, and in the northwest corner, the Phelps County, Rolla area. My district is agriculturally diverse. We grow everything but citrus and sugar. 14 of the 30 counties in my district contain land that would have been within the White River National Blueway designation. In addition, my district includes the Ozark National Scenic Riverways, a National Park Service entity that spans through 5 counties on the western side, including my home county, near my home of Salem. The parts of our local economy that are not driven by agriculture rely heavily on tourism and natural resources. Folks come from all over the state and all around the country to be guided on float trips on the rivers and streams contained in my district. We have a thriving timber industry that produces lumber, charcoal, and finished wood products, and some of the district's largest employers mine lead and we smelt aluminum. What is the common thread that ties together the components of agriculture, tourism, and natural resources in my district? It's property rights and our ability to use the land and its bounty to make a living. All too often, the federal government tugs at this thread, threatening to unwind the fabric of our economy, whether it's new regulations restricting farm labor, new EPA carbon emission rules that would shutter our largest employers, or shutting down access and restricting the use of our rivers, streams. In my district is under attack. My constituents and I are tired of unelected Washington, D.C. bureaucrats creating new programs out of thin air and having the ability to end our rural way of life and the way that we make a living. While the White River National Blueways has been withdrawn, it is only the latest symptom of a disease that has embedded itself into the very core of this administration. They think that they know better than locals, and they think that they can act on their own without congressional approval or oversight. Where does it stop? Madam Speaker, today I challenge the members of this body to make it our goal not only to stop the National Blueway system all over this country, but also to fight the disease that spawned it. Local groups and individuals are best situated to manage their lands and resources. We don't need bureaucratic mandates sent from on high in Washington, D.C. that may have drastic repercussions for our local economies. Be happy to yield.
I appreciate the gentleman from Missouri. You know, one of the things that I just want to ask you, and as we just take a moment here, one of the things you brought up is something that I have discovered, and I just actually discovered it when I was in the state legislature as well, but up here it's even more prevalent. Have you already gotten the sense of Washington knows best? You know, there used to be a TV show called Fathers Knows Best. I think up here we live, Washington knows best. I think, is that what you're seeing?
Clearly, the few square miles that hover around the District of Columbia, it seems like that they know how to better manage our forest, or our rivers, or our lives, or our kids working on the farms, you name it. They believe that that's the process that you should manage from up above and push down.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things, my district and in the district you serve, you have 30 counties, I have 20 counties, very agriculturally diverse. We're more with livestock, but also poultry, also what we'll call the agrarian tourism with the wineries and other things that are growing. And what we're finding is just simply let us, do what we need to do. And I think that was one of the reasons that, from our conservative perspective, working with the Farm Bill and the issues that we've had with that, is let's deal with agriculture. Let's deal with the things that in the SNAP programs and others separately, and that was something that I believe was a good thing. But I want to go back to one thing, talking about coming and testifying in committees, and you and I sit next to each other on a couple of committees, and now you've seen this today, of if you work, in my personal opinion, you work for the government, Congress is your oversight agency. That is the constitutional role of what we have, and it is disturbing to me, and not only in what you've just shared with, and I have heard today about someone not wanting to come testify, but I've seen it in other committees as well where they just simply don't show up. We've got a disconnect. Do you think this person actually gets your district and the impact that would have? And by not coming to testify, does that just show maybe that they don't get it?
It's extremely disappointing that any federal employee that is asked by Congress to come and testify and to give information in a broader sense, and they refuse to testify or refuse to be present, that's unacceptable. They shouldn't be a federal employee if they're not willing to stand up and justify what they do in their position. And constantly you see the buck just continue to be passed on, and never does it stop with a lot of folks in the bureaucracy in the federal government. And I think that's our responsibility. That's our responsibility as members of Congress, is to go after these bureaucrats who try to never allow the truth to always be seen immediately.
I agree. I think one of the things that we look at is we have literally thousands upon thousands of workers in our federal governments and our state governments who are good people doing honest day's work, who want to make a difference, and they believe that they're calling, to do that. And I think, unfortunately, it's those individuals sometimes that won't believe what I and you, I think, believe in stewardship and interacting with the Congress and interacting with the agencies and interacting with locals, that really is cast dispersion on a large net of workers who are trying to do it right, who do get in there and go to work every day and do the good work for the government that they work for. I just believe that it goes back to stewardship. I'm just raised on that stewardship issue that you've been given. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it later, but I think if you have a job, I think that's something that you need to look at. Well, I appreciate so much what you've meant to this body in 42 days, and look forward to us working together and as we share some more tonight. I thank you for that. The principles that I want to talk about here for just a little while tonight is what I call common sense conservative values. And they're things like individual freedom. Fiscal responsibility.